Mating in Captivity, Reconciling the Erotic and the Domestic, by Esther Perel. Introduction. Picture this for a moment. A woman named Adele walks into a therapist's office. She's successful, a lawyer, married for 7 years to a good man named Alan. They have a beautiful 5-year-old daughter. By every measure, she has won the game of life. She sits down and says, 80% of the time, I'm happy with him. I'm really happy. She talks about her life. They have enough money, their house is never caught on fire, they're all healthy. She knows how bad things can be out in the world, and she feels fortunate. And then she pauses, and asks a question that echoes in the hearts of millions. So what is it I want? She misses that fluttery, exciting feeling from the first year of their relationship. The butterflies. The passion. She knows that the early excitement is tied to insecurity, to not knowing, and she doesn't want that back. She has a family, a stable life. She doesn't want to worry if he likes her or if he's going to cheat. But still, she wants to feel something. She says, I want to be appreciated as a woman. Not as a mother, not as a wife, not as a companion. She wants him to look at her without all the baggage of their shared life, the bills, the schedules, his mother's meatloaf. And she admits, she's become complacent too. The passion is gone. This story, this quiet desperation, is the heartbeat of one of the most important books on relationships written in the last 50 years, Mating in Captivity, by the brilliant therapist Esther Perel. This isn't just another book about relationships. This is a deep dive into a paradox that most of us feel but can never quite name. Perel comes from a unique background. Her parents were both Holocaust survivors, the sole survivors of their families. They came out of that darkness not just wanting to survive, but to revive. To live with a vengeance, to cultivate pleasure, to feel truly alive. And that deep understanding of aliveness is what she brings to her work. In Mating in Captivity, she tackles the great puzzle of modern love. Why do the very things we do to create safety and security in our relationships so often kill the passion and desire that brought us together in the first place? Why does love seek closeness, while desire seems to need distance? By the time we finish our journey today, you will understand this puzzle. You'll see why the advice we're often given, to communicate more, to be more open, to become best friends with our partner, can sometimes be the very thing that extinguishes the fire. And you'll learn the secret to keeping that spark alive, not in spite of commitment, but because of it. This isn't just about saving a marriage, it's about saving the part of ourselves that yearns to feel vibrant, desired, and truly alive. Book summary. Let's start with a simple image that holds the key to this entire book. Think of a small child at a park. You'll see him run off, full of excitement, to explore the world. He climbs the slide, he chases a butterfly. But every so often, he stops, turns around, and looks back to make sure mom and dad are still there, watching. Once he's reassured, he's off again on another adventure. This little game is the story of our lives. Esther Perel explains that we all have two fundamental, and often conflicting, needs. The first is the need for security, for safety, for what she calls an anchor. We need permanence, reliability, and someone we can count on. It's our safe base, the place we can always return to. But we have another, equally powerful need, the need for adventure, for novelty, for excitement, for what she calls the wave. We crave risk, mystery, and the unknown. It's what makes us feel vibrant and alive. The great challenge of modern romance is that we now expect to find both our anchor and our wave in the very same person. We want our partner to be our best friend, our rock, our trusted confidant. And we also want them to be our passionate, mysterious, unpredictable lover. We want one person to be both the safe harbor and the thrilling, open sea. Is it any wonder so many relationships crumble under the weight of these expectations? This leads us to the central paradox of the book. Love and desire are not always friends. In fact, they often play by completely different rules. Love flourishes on closeness, knowing, and familiarity. We want to shrink the distance between ourselves and our partner. We want to know everything about them, their hopes, their fears, their childhood stories. Desire, on the other hand, needs a little bit of space. It thrives on mystery, on separateness, on the unknown. Eroticism, as Perel puts it, happens in the space between two people. If there's no space to cross, no bridge to walk, no mystery to uncover, then there's nothing to desire. When two people become one, there is no one left to connect with. This is why, as Perel has seen over and over in her practice, increased emotional intimacy is often followed by decreased sexual desire. It's a baffling idea at first. Shouldn't being closer make sex better? Not always. Think of John and Beatrice. When they first met, their life was a whirlwind of passion. They spent their first 6 months locked in a room, talking for hours, making love, endlessly curious about each other's worlds. They were two distinct people, fascinated by the encounter. The space between them was a given, and their goal was to close it. But as time went on, they moved in together. They created routines. They learned each other's habits, how John likes his coffee, how Beatrice leaves her towels on the floor. This familiarity was comforting. It built a strong, secure, and intimate bond. They became a team. And then one day, John came to therapy and said, "We get along great. I really love her. We don't have sex." What happened? Their intimacy collapsed into what Perel calls fusion. They had closed the space between them so completely that the erotic charge disappeared. The very thing that made their love feel safe, the familiarity, the predictability, the merging, was the enemy of desire. This is a pattern Perel sees everywhere. The caring, protective feelings that make us feel loved can often block the wild, unself-conscious freedom that fuels erotic pleasure. It's like trying to have a wild party in a library. The environment is built for quiet connection, not for uninhibited celebration. So if more intimacy isn't the answer, what is? Perel argues that we need to stop thinking of desire as something that just happens and start seeing it as something we must actively cultivate. And the key ingredient is reintroducing a sense of separateness and mystery into our relationships. This doesn't mean creating conflict or being distant. It means allowing your partner to have a world of their own. It means recognizing that you can never fully know them, that they will always hold a certain mystery. It's about being able to see them from a distance, as a separate person, and finding them attractive all over again. Adele, the woman from our opening story, experienced this one night. She was at a work party, and she saw her husband Alan across the room, talking to his colleagues. For a moment, she says, she forgot he was her husband, the guy who leaves his socks on the floor and annoys her in the morning. She just saw him as this smart, attractive man, and she felt that old pull of desire. In that moment, she wasn't looking at him with a close-up zoom lens of marriage. She was using a wide-angle lens, and it allowed her to see his otherness. That otherness is where desire lives. To keep that fire alive, Perel says, we must learn to tolerate the uncertainty that comes with separateness. We need to have what she calls a secret garden, a private space, an inner world, that belongs only to us. It's not about hiding things from your partner, it's about having a self to bring to your partner. When we share everything, when there are no secrets left, there is nothing left to discover. As she beautifully puts it, love enjoys knowing everything about you. Desire needs mystery. Love likes to shrink the distance that exists between me and you, while desire is energized by it. Love is about having. Desire is about wanting. And the secret to lasting passion is learning how to want what you already have. Of course, this tension between closeness and separateness is just one piece of the puzzle. Perel dives deeper, exploring how our modern ideals, things we hold very dear, can sometimes get in the way of a vibrant erotic life. Take the idea of democracy and equality. We believe a good relationship should be fair, respectful, and balanced. We build partnerships based on consensus and compromise. These are wonderful achievements for society and for a stable home life. But in the bedroom, they can be passion killers. The erotic imagination, Perel argues, is often politically incorrect. It doesn't play by the rules of good citizenship. It thrives on power dynamics, on role-playing, on surrender and control. Consider the story of Elizabeth and Vito. Elizabeth is a hyper-responsible woman. She's a school psychologist in charge of hundreds of children, and at home, she's the coordinator, the one in control. For 20 years, she worked to make her relationship with Vito, who came from a traditional Italian background, more egalitarian. They became better partners. But in bed, Elizabeth craves something entirely different. She wants to be manhandled, told what to do. She fantasizes about submission. She explains, "For me, it's like a vacation. I don't have to make any decisions. I don't have to be in charge. I can just step out of my world and be somebody else, sexy and a little wild." For her, sex is the one place where she can safely lose control. The power imbalance that would be unacceptable in her daily life is precisely what excites her erotically. It's not that she's weak or wants to be dominated in real life. It's the opposite. She is so in control all day that surrender becomes a form of liberation. She's not a prisoner, she's a free person choosing to play at being captured. This is a crucial insight. The dynamics that cause conflict in our relationships, power, control, dependency, even aggression, can become sources of intense excitement when they are eroticized. They are moved from the realm of reality into the safe, bounded space of play. This is why, Perel suggests, we might have more exciting sex if we were less constrained by our need for democracy in the bedroom. Sex isn't always about being nice and fair. Sometimes, it's about aggression, selfishness, and transgression. And that's okay. When it's consensual and playful, it's not a betrayal of love, it's an expansion of it. But for many of us, these wilder parts of ourselves are hard to accept. We're afraid of them. We're afraid of our own aggression, our own neediness, our own fantasies. We try to be good partners, to keep everything calm and harmonious. We neutralize any tension. But in doing so, we often create a relationship that is reassuring, but not very exciting. Perel quotes the psychoanalyst Stephen Mitchell, who said that the waning of desire is not due to the contamination of love by aggression, but to the inability to sustain the necessary tension between them. To truly love, we must be able to hold both the tender and the aggressive parts of ourselves and of our partners. This brings us to one of the most private and powerful parts of our erotic life, fantasy. For a long time, fantasy got a bad rap. It was seen as a sign of dissatisfaction, a cheap substitute for a real, healthy sex life. We often believe that what we fantasize about is what we literally want to do in reality. If a man fantasizes about other women, it must mean he doesn't desire his wife. If a woman fantasizes about being taken forcefully, she must have some deep-seated pathology. Perel argues that this is a fundamental misunderstanding. Sexual fantasy is not prose, it's poetry. It's symbolic, and its meaning is rarely literal. Fantasy, she explains, is the sanctuary of the erotic mind. It's a creative force, a psychological safe space where we can resolve our deepest conflicts and heal our oldest wounds. The experiences that caused us the most pain in childhood can sometimes become the greatest sources of pleasure in our erotic imagination. Take Catherine. As a teenager, she was overweight and felt sexually invisible. She was the ugly sidekick who never got the guy. Today, she's a beautiful, married woman. Her favorite fantasy? She and her husband play out a scene where she is a high-priced prostitute. Men are willing to risk everything just for a little of her time. In this fantasy, she is so valuable, so desired, that all those years of humiliation are finally vindicated. She's not just having sex, she's rewriting her own history. Or look at Lucas. He grew up in a small town, terrified of being found out as gay. He even had sex with a cheerleader just to maintain his cover. Now, as an openly gay man, one of his favorite scenarios is to pretend to be straight on a nude beach and let another man try to turn him. He's replaying his past trauma, but this time, he is in complete control. He is choosing to act straight, not out of fear, but as a path to pleasure. Our fantasies are ingenious. They express a problem and provide the solution all at once. If we feel insecure in real life, in our fantasies we are irresistible. If we fear our own aggression, in fantasy we can be powerful without hurting anyone. The erotic imagination is our ticket to freedom. It allows us to be all the things we aren't allowed to be in our daily lives. This is why our fantasies often feel so shocking or politically incorrect. They are a rebellion against the good person we try to be all day. But most of us keep this world a secret, even from our partners. We're embarrassed. We're afraid of being judged. The man who loves his wife tenderly might be ashamed of the lecherous thoughts that run through his mind. The woman who is a devoted mother might be horrified by fantasies that feel selfish or aggressive. The question then becomes, should you tell your partner about your fantasies? Perel advises caution. Sharing fantasies can be an act of profound intimacy, a way of saying, I trust you enough to show you this hidden part of me. For some couples, it's a playful adventure that brings them closer. But for others, it can be a disaster. If your partner feels threatened, judged, or inadequate because of your fantasy, it can create a wound that's hard to heal. Whether you share the details or not, the most important thing is to understand your own fantasies. They are a map to your inner world. They tell you what you long for, what you fear, and what parts of yourself you've had to suppress. Understanding the meaning behind the fantasy, like Joni, who realized her cowboy fantasies were about a deep longing to be taken care of, not a desire for pain, is what allows you to bring that energy back into your relationship, even without acting out the specific script. This journey into the inner world of desire inevitably leads us to the most practical and pressing challenge for most couples: parenthood. Sex makes babies. It's a beautiful irony, then, that the child, the very embodiment of a couple's love, so often becomes the greatest threat to their romance. For so many couples, the erotic life dies, or at least goes into a long hibernation, with the arrival of the first child. Why? The common answers are fatigue, stress, lack of time, and hormonal changes. And all of these are true. But Perel argues there's something much deeper going on. When we become parents, our entire world shifts. Our priorities, our roles, our sense of self, everything is transformed. The need for security and predictability, which was always present, now goes into overdrive. We create routines, we child-proof the house, we become serious, responsible people. We plant ourselves firmly on the ground so our kids can learn to fly. But everything that parenthood demands, stability, dependability, selflessness, is at odds with what eroticism thrives on: risk, spontaneity, and a healthy dose of selfishness. Family life is designed to defend against the very uncertainty that fuels desire. My patient Stephanie put it perfectly: I knew we were in trouble when I couldn't even think about having sex until all the toys were put away. And then there are the dishes, the laundry, the bills. The chores, she admits, always seem to win. She pushes her husband away and grabs the mop. This isn't just about being a neat freak. For many parents, especially mothers, managing the household provides a sense of control in an emotionally chaotic new world. Children fill us with a profound sense of vulnerability. Cleaning the kitchen is a concrete task with measurable results. It's far more manageable than the open-ended terror of keeping a tiny human alive and happy. But there's another, more subtle shift that happens. Perel calls it eros redirected. Think of eroticism not just as sex, but as a vibrant, creative, playful energy. When you watch Stephanie with her children, you see that this energy hasn't disappeared. She plans art projects, nature walks, cookie baking parties. Her life is filled with novelty and adventure, but it's all directed toward her kids. The children have become the new romance. For many women, the physical connection with their children can also, in a way, replace the sensuous connection with their partner. The caressing, the kissing, the cradling, the nibbling of toes, this blissful, fleshy fusion bears a striking resemblance to the physical intimacy between lovers. As Stephanie says, at the end of the day, I have nothing left to give. But Perel suggests that maybe, at the end of the day, there's nothing more she needs. Her sensuous cup has already been filled. This is where the partner, often the man in heterosexual couples, starts to feel like an outsider. Warren, Stephanie's husband, feels displaced. He says he feels like he's running a daycare center with someone he used to date. He misses his wife. He wants to connect with a woman inside the mother. But when he approaches her, she feels like he's just one more person wanting something from her. This creates a painful cycle. He initiates, she rebuffs him. He feels rejected and withdraws. She feels emotionally alone and becomes even more convinced that all he wants is a physical release. They are locked in a stalemate, each blaming the other. To break this cycle, Perel says, couples have to make a conscious choice to carve out an adults-only space. This isn't just about scheduling a date night. It's about a mental shift. It's about remembering that before they were parents, they were lovers. It's about the father reaching out to the mother, and the mother acknowledging him, redirecting some of that energy back to the couple. It requires creating boundaries. The bedroom door needs to be closed sometimes. The marital bed should not be a family playground. And parents need to give themselves permission to be selfish, to take time for themselves and for each other, without guilt. A couple's erotic connection isn't a luxury, it's essential for the health of the entire family. Children feel more secure when they know their parents have a strong, loving bond that doesn't revolve entirely around them. The challenges of parenthood, the complexities of fantasy, the tension between love and desire, all of these eventually lead us to confront the ultimate boundary in a committed relationship: fidelity. In our culture, monogamy is the sacred cow of romantic love. It is the ultimate proof of our specialness. I chose you, and I renounced all others. When your partner is faithful, it confirms your uniqueness. When their eyes, or their hands, wander, your importance is shattered. But what if our understanding of fidelity is too rigid? What if our fear of betrayal is so great that it suffocates the very life out of our relationships? Perel asks us to look at the shadow of the third. At the boundary of every couple, she says, lives a third person. This third can be a real person, an old flame, a flirtatious co-worker, an affair partner. Or it can be an imagined person, a fantasy, a porn star, the handsome stranger on the subway. This third person, real or imagined, is essential. They represent the world outside the couple, the road not taken, the possibilities we gave up when we chose commitment. The third is the embodiment of our desire for what lies beyond the fence. Many of us try to deny the existence of the third. We build a fortress around our relationship. We monitor our partner, check their phone, and create rules about who they can see. We believe that if we can eliminate all temptation, we can guarantee faithfulness. But this strategy often backfires. When we try to choke our partner's freedom, we create an environment where secrets and transgressions become a way to reclaim a sense of self. The more you try to control them, the more they will feel a need to escape. An affair, Perel argues, is not always a symptom of a bad relationship. Many people who stray are reasonably happy at home. But they are looking for something else. Often, they are not seeking another person, but another self. An affair is a quest to feel alive, to feel special, to recapture a part of themselves they feel they have lost in the routine of domestic life. Think of Doug. He felt he'd hit the matrimonial jackpot with his wife, Zoe. She was down to earth, fun, and wild in bed. But over time, as kids and life took over, he started to feel invisible. He began an affair with a co-worker, Naomi. The sex was fiery, but he says that's not what it was about. It was about the attention. With Naomi, he felt irresistible. Her jealousy, while annoying, confirmed how important he was. The affair wasn't an exit strategy. He never wanted to leave his wife. It was a way to feel the intensity he was missing. So what is the alternative to building a fortress or having a secret affair? Perel suggests that instead of trying to banish the third, we should invite its shadow into our relationship. This doesn't mean you have to have an open relationship, though some couples do choose that path. It means acknowledging that you and your partner are separate individuals with your own erotic lives. It means being able to talk about attractions, to play with jealousy, to share fantasies. When a couple can joke about the hot delivery guy, or when a man can see his wife getting attention at a party and feel pride instead of just fear, they are bringing the energy of the third inside their bond. It introduces a spark of uncertainty. It reminds them that they don't own each other. And that reminder, that little injection of jealousy or mystery, is often what reignites desire. It's about renouncing others not because you have to, but because you choose to, over and over again. And that choice is what keeps love alive. As Perel concludes, acknowledging the third has to do with validating the erotic separateness of our partner. It follows that our partner's sexuality does not belong to us. When you can truly accept that, you can look at the person you've been with for years and see them again as a mystery. And you might just find yourself wanting them more than ever. In the end, all of these ideas circle back to one fundamental question: can you want what you already have? The myth of spontaneity tells us that good sex should just happen. If we have to plan it, if we have to put effort into it, it feels forced and unromantic. We wait for the mood to strike. But in a long-term relationship, Perel says, whatever was going to just happen already has. Now, we have to make it happen. Committed sex is intentional sex. It's not about scheduling intercourse in your BlackBerry. It's about creating an erotic space. It's about understanding that seduction doesn't end after the first date. It's an ongoing practice. It's about bringing the same creativity and effort to your erotic life that you bring to planning a special dinner or a vacation. Planning creates anticipation, and anticipation is the engine of desire. The couples who succeed in keeping passion alive are the ones who understand this. They value eroticism. They are playful. They know that desire waxes and wanes, and they don't panic when it disappears for a while. They know they can bring it back. They see their relationship not as a destination they have arrived at, but as a story they are still writing together. There's always another chapter, always something new to discover. Reconciling the domestic and the erotic, the need for security and the thirst for adventure, is a delicate balancing act. It requires us to hold two opposing ideas at once, to know our partner deeply, while always recognizing their mystery. To create a safe and loving home, while still making room for the wildness of passion. It's not easy. But nurturing eroticism in the home is an act of defiance. It's a rebellion against the message that marriage must be serious and that passion is only for the young. It is a declaration that you choose to feel fully, deeply, and vibrantly alive, not just out in the world, but right here, at home, with the person you love. Commentary. As we come to the end of our exploration of mating in captivity, I want you to stop and just let these ideas settle for a moment. This book is powerful not just because of the what, but because of the why. Esther Perel gives us a new language to talk about things we've all felt but couldn't articulate. She gives us permission to be complex, to be contradictory, and to be human. The single most profound lesson from this book is that desire is not a fixed state that you either have or you don't. It's not a battery that inevitably runs down over time. It's a fire. And like any fire, if you don't tend to it, if you don't give it air, it will go out. But if you learn how to nurture it, it can burn for a lifetime. So many of us are taught to believe that a successful relationship is one that eliminates all tension, all uncertainty, all conflict. We strive for a perfectly harmonious, frictionless union. But Perel shows us that this peaceful plateau is often the very place where desire goes to die. Fire needs friction. Passion needs tension. Eroticism needs a little bit of a gap to cross. For you, at this stage in your life, these lessons might seem distant, something to worry about far down the road. But the foundations are being laid right now, in how you think about yourself, your friendships, and your future relationships. So here are 3 simple practical ways you can start applying the wisdom of this book today. First, begin to notice the dance between the anchor and the wave in your own life. Pay attention to the part of you that craves comfort, predictability, and safety. And pay attention to the part that craves novelty, adventure, and risk. Don't judge them. Don't try to pick one over the other. Just get to know them. Understanding that you need both is the first step to building a life, and eventually, a relationship, that can honor your whole self. Second, start cultivating your secret garden. This is not about being deceptive or hiding things from people you love. It's about building a strong, independent sense of self. What are the thoughts, hobbies, passions, and dreams that are uniquely yours? Nurture them. The most interesting people are not the ones who merge completely with their friends or partners. They are the ones who have a rich inner world to share. Being a whole person on your own is the greatest gift you can bring to any relationship. And third, redefine what intimacy means to you. We live in a culture that glorifies total transparency, the idea that the closest relationships are the ones with no secrets, but as Perel teaches us, sometimes mystery is a form of respect. True intimacy isn't just about sharing every single thought and feeling. It's about creating a space where 2 separate people can connect, without losing themselves. It's about being curious, not just about what you can learn about them, but about the world that exists inside them that you will never fully know. Mating in Captivity is so much more than a book about sex. It is a book about aliveness. It challenges us to stop sleepwalking through our relationships and to wake up to the vibrant, dynamic, and sometimes messy reality of human connection. The ultimate lesson is that passion isn't something you find, it's something you create. And it is created in that magical, electric space between 2 people who choose, day after day, to remain just a little bit of a mystery to each other. That was our deep dive into Mating in Captivity by Esther Perel. We've touched on the core ideas today, but I'll be honest with you, a summary can only take you so far. The real magic happens when you read the book yourself. It's in the quiet moments when one of Perel's stories or a simple, elegant phrase connects with your own life in a way you didn't expect. This podcast is here to help you decide if a book is worth your time. If anything we've explored today has sparked your curiosity or resonated with a question you've been asking yourself, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about gathering information, it's an experience that can genuinely change how you see love, desire, and the art of being alive. You can find a link to the book in the description below. Also, if you found this summary valuable, I'd be grateful if you'd hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss our next journey into another life-changing book from the billionaire's bookshelf. Let's keep learning and growing together.